The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
All right, thank you for joining everybody. We are here with Chris Envy, owner promoter for the Dynasty Pro Wrestling. How are you today, Chris?
Fantastic. How are you, Sarah?
I'm doing great. We are semi-local to each other, so I was really excited to get this interview. You run Dynasty out of the Albany area here in New York.
Right.
I was surprised. I just recently heard about you guys, probably, I'd say maybe a few months ago. Surprised to learn you guys started back in 2013. Is that right?
Yeah, we 2013 was our first show. Then we took some time off because my original partner he took his own life, was going through some stuff. And I thought I was done. Then my daughter said we have to do at least one more for Tom. So, all right, we'll do one more. And that one was kind of like, I don't know, the tip of the iceberg. People were coming out and droves and starting to fill buildings. Let's just keep going.
Great.
So
Yeah, so tell us, at what point, you got shows going on before the pandemic. Did you try running any, just before or just after? Anything during? What was the difference like?
2013 to 2018, we ran consistently almost every month. Primarily smaller buildings, Elks Lodges, couple school shows. I had a partner for part of that because I had moved down to South Carolina in 2015, but I wasn't ready to give up on what we had built. So the partner was up here. He would flyer and get sponsors and sell tickets, and I would handle all the marketing and the promotion and the booking and the music. Things started to fall apart around 2018, where we just weren't making money anymore. It wasn't worth the drive up here, 16 hours each way. So we parted ways in 2018. 2019, I moved back to New York, got licensed. 2020 had buildings lined up, ready to rock and roll, and then the pandemic hit. So we didn't do anything in 2020. 2021, they were just starting to open things back up, and I wasn't ready to invest that kind of money because in New York it's very, very expensive to run. So then 2022, there was a lot of buzz. People were hearing that I was going to be running again, and I had no intention on running yet. So I kind of put some feelers out, and we ended up doing a reunion show in Amsterdam. But it wasn't really a reunion. It wasn't a lot of our guys. It just didn't feel like what it should be to be a Dynasty event. So then, I mean, it was good. We got a little over 100 people. It was a small show. Enough, though, for me to feel like, okay, there's still an appetite for it. So then October of last year, we put all our eggs in the basket. Like, let's go. If we're going to do this, let's make a real run at it. And we called our event at Empire Live, and we've been off and running ever since.
What's it been like? You've had some big names come through the local indie scene. What's it like to see, you see these guys coming up on the indies, just getting started out, and now you see some of these guys, they've made it, they're, big time. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good. Like we have a good team at Dynasty, and we all seem to have a real good eye for talent. We rotate in, I'd say anywhere from 25 to 50% new talent at every show. People I've heard of in the past, people that other people have recommended to me. We like to be a place where we take a chance on people. MJF has been like some big names that weren't big then have become big things. And it's a good, like we've had some really talent come through.
Great. Yeah, let's talk AEW for a minute now. We see their next big pay-per-view, Dynasty. Same colors,
Yeah. Yep. Um, yeah, it's ironic. Um, right after we were kind of a hot button topic on Twitter or X or Twix or whatever it's called this week.
Mhm.
That came out. We're not the first place to be called Dynasty. We're the first wrestling place to be called Dynasty. Um, I also find it ironic that Richard Holiday and MJF are part of the Dynasty faction in MLW. They've both been in the actual Dynasty. They probably in real life, Tony Khan probably has no idea who we are. He's probably never heard of us. Dynasty was, for whatever reason, a buzzword a couple weeks ago. So they liked it. But
Mhm.
it's also purple. We've been purple since the jump, since 2013. So it's like, maybe somebody's in your ear. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it's just me thinking we're bigger than we are. But I don't know.
You know,
Intellectual property.
as much of a wrestling nerd as Tony Khan is, it wouldn't surprise me, doing his research, to MJF and Matt Holiday, he probably saw your name come up. So, it really wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah. I would like to think that he's heard of us, but I also don't want to let my head get that big.
Right. Um, now that you're back up and running, do you plan on doing a lot more shows? You plan on going to once a month? What do you feel like your schedule is going to be like?
Well, if you had asked me that a week ago, I would probably tell you we have 4 shows left for the rest of the year, because we have a couple dates. We have another date lined up. We have one in June, and then we have an August event, and then probably one in the fall. But the last week has been a complete whirlwind of amazing things just falling into our lap. Um,
Mhm.
we're going to be doing Schenectady Pride, so we've never done that. We've never done a festival, and this one's at Pride, so that's super special to me because my oldest daughter is gay. So that's huge. I'm super excited for that one. Um, we have a call with another convention on Saturday that we might be doing. Um, we're going to be working with the International Conference in October. Like we're doing a lot of really big things that we didn't think we were going to do. This year was supposed to be just like let's just kind of float along and just see what kind of buzz we can create. And, it's really ramped up. A lot of places that we just got an email today from a place that's about 2 hours away from where I live, asking if we'd come out there and do a show. Or venues are reaching out to us, and that's like mind blowing to me.
That's huge. Running small shows, you have someone say, "Hey, would you mind doing a show here?" That's definitely
Right.
huge. And it makes you feel like you're doing something right.
Yeah, yeah, I hope so. I hope so. It feels like we're doing something right most of the time.
Yeah. So you've had some other big names, pop up. Jay Lethal, X Pac. They've been at prior shows.
Sure.
What's it like, when you can bring a big name talent in like that?
Um, I grew up a wrestling fan. It was very taboo when I was growing up. Like none of my friends liked wrestling, so it was kind of like something you didn't talk about.
Hmm.
So now I kind of do it for everybody else. You know what I mean? Like if you're taking a chance on us, for instance, Jay Lethal was at our first show back in last October. Um, we brought him in. Nobody knew. Literally, the entire locker room didn't know. Nobody knew he was going to be there until I sent somebody to the airport to pick him up, and he was in the building. When I was a kid watching the Monday Night Wars, you never knew who was going to show up on SmackDown. I mean, on Raw or WCW. You didn't know. You were excited, and you have to watch. And that's the kind of aura I want to create with the Dynasty. You don't want to miss a show because you know who's going to be there. I don't tell you who's going to fight whom. I've got 1 or 2 matches, but I don't tell you who's always going to be there. Nobody knew who was coming to our last show, and that kind of sparked a little bit of a fun. So it's my way of rewarding the people that take a chance on us and spend your hard-earned money to come and see a Dynasty show. You're going to be entertained. And me as a promoter, though, I try not to get starstruck. I mean, I try to book people that I find entertaining and that I think are great for one reason or another. When I meet them, I have to play Joe Cool. Like, hey man, how you doing? You're in the locker room. Let me know if you need anything. but inside I'm like doing backflips. Like I'm a big kid fan still.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can imagine, meeting some of these people. The first couple times, like, oh my god, big name. You're a fan. You watch them on TV, and now it's like you get to interact with them. They're interacting with you. So
Right, right. It's crazy.
yeah, I love the fact that you're playing like you said, you don't know who's showing up. It's going to be a big surprise. That's what it was like growing up in the '90s. Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression.
Right.
The dirt sheets weren't around as much, or they weren't able to communicate so quickly. Now it's almost like we know who's showing up and when.
Yep. Yep.
That's why I think Sean Spears showing up on NXT last week was like, how did we not hear about this?
That was really huge because he was still supposedly taking bookings until the end of April.
Mhm.
We were in email contact less than a month ago about bringing him into a show.
That would have been
And
great.
showed up, and I was like, wait a minute, can I still book you? So
We'll dive a little bit into, we talked about this a little bit off air, the reason why your name was blowing up.
yeah,
Uh,
sure,
yeah, you had Velveteen Dream
we
on
did.
your show.
Yeah, yes, we did.
He's been very hot button topic. What was he
Yep.
like having around backstage?
Okay, so very rarely do I ever get starstruck. Shawn Michaels, I was starstruck when I met him backstage, and Velveteen Dream, huge star. Like the charisma that he exudes when he walks through that curtain, the presence, the just feel something special. But I tell you, talking to Patrick Clark, he is not that person at all. He is so quiet, soft spoken, and humble. He is one of the nicest people I've ever met. I mean, we spent a couple of hours together that day. Like I took him to his hotel, dropped him off, let him get comfortable. We went directly to the venue, and he got ready for 2 hours. And he would work with anybody else that was there. Just put his own stuff on, stayed to himself. He wasn't like, "Hey, come see me." He was so nice, man. Like one of the nicest people ever. I mean, we're not friends. We're not. We exchange texts, we exchange Instagram posts, but I see him as a friend. I mean, he doesn't know who I am, like outside of wrestling, but he was so nice. Like one of my oldest son, he was a huge fan. Like one of the few people in NXT that he actually followed, and he was starstruck. He's like, "Can I please meet him?" Absolutely. And he made everybody. He stayed. He was one of the last people in the building that night. He was breaking down chairs. He said hello to everybody that wanted to say hello. He took pictures. Class act all around. Like such a good dude.
And that's pretty much, what I've heard, from some of the wrestlers, either that I'm friends with or follow, pretty much saying the same thing. And
We got a lot of flack because we also had Rita Chatterton on the same show, um, who was she was in the news for other things as well.
Mhm.
And she was super supportive of Velveteen, super supportive. He's such a nice guy. Like they were shoulder to shoulder kind of. There was nothing uncomfortable about the situation. She told me to give him her number and have him reach out to her because he really needs people in his life that are going to support him and have his back. And she was one of them. So all these people that are coming at me, like, that was you're not family entertainment. Like, okay, it's easy to say that, but if I had Vince McMahon on my next show, all those clowns would still be buying tickets. So
Right. Yeah. I was going to say, there was a big mixture of, taking flack and a big mixture of support. My big
yeah,
question is, do you think Patrick Clark's ready to handle everything physically and mentally of coming back to wrestling?
um, physically, I think he could definitely do it. The guy, he does not look like he missed a step at all. I just got the footage myself this week, so I'll be editing and try and get it out as quickly as I can so people can see because he's in phenomenal shape, probably better than he
Mhm.
was then. Mentally, I don't know that you're ever mentally overcome something like that. I mean, he's gonna have PTSD everywhere he goes. I mean, it was to the point where I wasn't even checking my Twitter anymore because everything was negative. Everything. Like you guys even know? Did you do the research? Did you watch Chris Van Vliet's podcast? Like, and I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm not still saying guilty or innocent, but it was just hate, like immediate hate. You guys aren't even family friendly. The guy went out there and wrestled. He wore jeans. He
Mhm.
didn't, what's not family friendly about what we did? Nobody cursed. There was no blood. Nobody went through a pane of glass. Like
Yeah.
I don't get it. Mentally in the ring, I mean, the match was great. He fought Alec Hogan, and American Muscle. This dude's a specimen. He's going to be signed soon, real soon. They put on a banger of a match. Everybody was on their feet. He can still go. It's just one of those things, like you know, you go to the grocery store and Peter's protesting because you're buying a hamburger. There's always going to be some hater. It's just a
Right.
matter of, do the supporters outweigh the hate? Do you want to deal with that every time you go somewhere? I don't know that I'm mentally strong enough to do that, because I would want to fight back. I would want to be like, let's throw hands. You want to get that to my face? That's not Patrick. Patrick's like, you know what? It's going to be there. There's no way to prove your innocence if somebody said something. You know what I mean? Like, there's no charges. There's no Photoshop. There's so many ways. AI now. If somebody says that I raped them, it's nearly impossible for me to prove that I didn't. So in the public eye, I'll be a rapist. I'm not. But
Right.
how do you prove a false negative?
Right. It's a lot of he said, she said with that.
Right. Right. And again, I wasn't there. I don't know what he did, what he didn't do. I just did my research, which is legitimate research from no police reports, no nothing. I took a chance, and this isn't something that we worked on, like, let's bring him in tomorrow because he just did an interview. I've been talking to Patrick for over a year now about um I
Yeah.
I will
I'm
say,
sure,
go ahead.
I'm sure you're not gonna be the last person to book him. He's gonna get other bookings, now that he's back in spotlight.
I've had several people reach out to me that run. Well, there's a place in Florida, there's a place in Maryland, there's a place in Texas. They've all reached out to me for his contact information. Now, it's
Mhm.
not my place to do that, so I will just forward that stuff to him, and what he does with it is his own. We're just the first ones to chance, but we're not the only ones that are going to give him a platform.
Right. So let's move on to some other things. You've got some big names coming up. Who do you feel that's going to be mainstays, at least for now, on Dynasty, that we should be on the lookout for?
Oh man, I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers, but nobody's safe at Dynasty. You got to stay on your A game. I mean, like I told you early, we rotate 25 to 50%. We've had people from the NWA. The Now has been through, Wrecking Ball through. Jay Lethal's been through twice now. Joey Conway from New York City. Street God Papadon. We've had some really big names. Just because you come through doesn't mean you're going to. There's a lot of things that play into that. Part of it is budget, because I'm super, super cheap and I don't make a lot of money, so I can't afford to pay a lot of money.
Mhm.
But also part of it is opportunity. What are you doing that's setting you up? We got Vinny Pacifico was just at our last in our October show. Richard Holiday was just at the February show. No, December show. There's a lot of Fox Vinny. Fox has been around for a long time, but he's really starting to kind of feel himself out. In fact, he is, and he connects with the fans. Sergeant Fury is another one who he's been around for a while, but he's just got something where he connects with the fans on a personal level. Whether he's a face or a heel, the fans are going to have his back, and it's hard to find that.
He's one that I recognize. He's got a very, interesting character, and everywhere I've seen him, he gets over very easily.
The whole Dream situation, it's made it difficult to get certain people. We did lose some people that we thought were going to be with us for the long ride because of the social media backlash. There were people that Black and Yellow, phenomenal tag team of King and Corey. They're great. They're very, very bright futures. I wouldn't be surprised if they were an Impact by next year. They're so good. But they left because of the backlash. There's other people that have never worked for us who said, well, now I'm never going. There's other people that we have. Eric Calloway called us out on Twitter and was like, I work for them. And you just showed us that victims don't have a safe place in your locker room. Yeah, I'm mad about it. I feel guilty. Like I feel bad that they feel that way. Um, there's some people missed opportunities to Dynasty petition. It wasn't me. I made that petition. A lot of people look at the company like, oh, that's shitty. But I mean, it is what it is. Should I have announced him? Because I stand by that. I probably should have, but I didn't do it to hide him because of his accusations. I did it to hide him because I knew his appearance would create a buzz. We did the same thing with Jay Lethal. I just thought his buzz would be more positive. So getting back to your question, Black and Yellow, phenomenal tag team. Had it not been for Dream, I would definitely put them on the radar. They're great people and great athletes.
Yeah, I always hear other wrestlers saying, to bring these guys in, that they're really good. And I've seen,
For sure.
I think, one or two of their matches, and they are really good. Now you used to do a little wrestling yourself, am I correct?
I did quite a bit.
What's it like going from, being on shows as a wrestler, and now you're promoting? Do you feel being a wrestler helps give you that little bit of an edge to know what to do and how to book shows?
I think it does, honestly. It's a double-edged sword because it hurts. I want to be out there. I want to be in the ring. I want to perform. I want those 300 people that we packed the place last show. I'm not out there. They're not cheering for me, but I'm okay with it. It's difficult because I had a big ego when I was wrestling and I loved the attention. So to step back and put the attention on other people wasn't easy at first. Because I never say I own the dynasty. You'll never hear me say I when I'm referencing the dynasty. It's always we, because I can't do it alone. We built this show. We built this company. We did this together. It's not me. We are the dynasty, and I stand by that. It does give me a little more insight. I know what I liked. It's why Tom Ugly, my former business partner, and myself, we started it because there were so many great things at certain shows, and there were so many absolutely horrible things at shows, like 8-man tag. Why? Why is there an 8-man tag? Because you want to book 80 or 16 of your friends? Like, it's just stupid. The fans don't care about it. You're giving these guys 2 minutes in the ring each. I hate stuff like that. I hate the gym lights being on and you can see everything that's going on. It doesn't feel like a big show. So we took the good things that we liked at the good shows and we took the potential and got rid of most of it. We still have boxing there. We just tried to make like the perfect melting pot of what we thought was good, from being in the ring to being behind the scenes. And I think we've done a pretty good job so far. We're not perfect. We still have a long way to go, but I think we're doing a lot of things right.
Yeah. All right. As we wrap things up here, there's a segment I'd like to do with everybody I interview. Call it the electric chair. Just kind of like 6 rapid fire questions. Some
Okay.
wrestling related, some not. Just kind
All
of,
right.
people get to know you a little bit.
Sure.
So question 1, who's a dream wrestler that you would love to book that you haven't been able to book yet?
Well, it would have been Dream. To wrestle or to make an appearance?
To wrestle.
Malachi Black.
That would be great to have on the show.
He just can't do Saturdays. We've been in talks. I'd have to do a Friday show, and that's tough to do in New York.
What's the best road trip snack?
Oh, for me, pizza. I'll get an entire Little Caesars pizza, put it in my passenger seat, and I'll just pick at it as I'm driving. Dip the
And it helps you have the seat warmers because you can help keep it warm too.
Right, exactly.
What's an old school gimmick or tradition that you would love to see make a comeback?
I like traditional Survivor Series matches. They don't do it that way anymore. I don't like Survivor Series as a pay-per-view. I want it to be these 4 guys against these 4 guys or girls.
Yes, that was always my favorite. Like, don't get me wrong, I love war games, but I loved the elimination matches just a little bit
Right.
more,
Yeah.
especially in the old days when you had like Team USA versus Team Canada or Hogan's
Right.
team versus Heenan family.
Or like Ultimate Warrior and Legion of Doom. Everybody painted their face. It was we all kind of joined in. It was just different.
What is the weirdest gift that you've ever given somebody?
That I've ever given somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't really give gifts. I hmm. I
This one's a
mean,
thinker.
how PG is this podcast?
We're rated E on Apple Podcasts or rated explicit. So
I have definitely given adult gifts as gifts, adult toys. I mean, but it's more to get a rise out of me. Like I make myself laugh. If I can pop myself, it's a good gift.
we've been asking this question. I mean, my podcast one, we've been asking this one of everybody that we've had since late last year. We had April Hunter on. She was the first one we asked this question to, and right up that alley too. She said a fleshlight was the weirdest gift she's ever given. So
Nice. Nice.
similar company.
I'll take it.
If you were to go back and watch an old school pay-per-view or something to that effect, what's the one that you're going to watch?
Royal Rumble's my favorite pay-per-view of the year, but I would probably watch Invasion, because WCW during the Monday Night Wars, WCW is my go-to. I just got out of the military, so I was in Colorado, so I would watch WCW live early and then click over to watch the rerun. It was I would watch Invasion. Some good matches.
Yes, that was a great pay-per-view. All right.
Good question.
And final question. What match, if you can go back and see it live, or a match that you would love to see happen, what's a match you would love to sit front row for?
I would like to watch a match live, any match, Shawn Michaels against Mr. Perfect. Shawn Michaals was so smooth and everything looked effortless, but it looked like it killed them. It was so good. So much different than now.
Kurt Hennig, in my opinion, was one of the most underrated wrestlers.
I agree. The vignettes where he's throwing the football 100 yards to himself. I mean, come on.
I remember watching those growing up as a kid, and then later on, like when I found out those weren't real and they were staged, I was so disappointed. All right.
So real.
All right, Chris. Well, thank you for joining us. We hope to maybe have you on again in a future episode. We can talk more, promote other shows. But for now, if you want to learn more about Dynasty, where can they find you and Dynasty?
We are on all the social media that we are the Dynasty, and Dynasty Pro Wrestling on YouTube.
All right. Chris, thank you again for joining us here tonight on a rare appearance. Have a great rest of your evening.
Thanks, Sarah. You too.